homeopathy, the extendovite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe, trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat, very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendovite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It's Monday, September 24th, 2018, start of a brand new week. And, boy, I got to tell you, after a while, it gets really hard doing this job because of just how continually bad the news gets, and it gets worse and worse. And I can think of no better example, of course, than this circus that's taking place around Kavanaugh. And, you know, as soon as the first accuser's story crumbles, by golly, the Democrats have got a new accuser. Oh, forget about that last lady. Yeah, she was lying. She was discredited. We've got a new one who isn't even sure that it was Kavanaugh who did what she says he did. And she was also very drunk at the time. But, you know, take her word for it. And Kavanaugh has got to go. And it really is becoming a farce here. Anyway, our phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Mike is in our control room, ready to answer the phone when you call on in. Tomorrow, our third hour guest is going to be Tom Kozinski, and he's just authored a new book on the coming Civil War. And it's not something I'm happy about. I mean, I'm happy to get a book out. You know, I'm trying to get a book out myself. But a large part of why I do what I do and have been doing for the last third of my entire life was to avoid a civil war or a revolution in the United States of America. And at this point, it really does look like I have failed. So we're going to be talking to him about what he is prognosticating in terms of the future of the United States of America. Anyway, getting on back to Kavanaugh, I'm going to start with this because it really has degenerated into a circus. Clowns to the left of us, jokers on the right. We're stuck in the middle dealing with all of this nonsense. And you have this new woman who has come forward, Deborah Ramirez, who is saying that while she was at Yale, she was at a party where some man, totally naked, waved his private parts in front of her face. Somebody else said, kiss it. She's not entirely sure it was Kavanaugh, but she thinks it may have been him. And on that, the Democrats are out there screaming again, oh, he's a sexual predator, he's a sexual predator. And Dianne Feinstein is now out there saying that the hearings and the vote for Kavanaugh should be put on hold until the FBI can investigate. What is the FBI going to investigate? You know, that somebody got naked at a college party. I remember when I was in college, a lot of people got naked. You know, it was the summer of love, that whole hippie thing. Everybody was skinny dipping in the pools. It was no big deal back then. One of the real problems about political correctness is they've come up with a whole series of behaviors that have been declared inappropriate. And then they want to use those to go back and judge people 30 years ago when such behaviors were not considered any kind of a big deal. And that it's first of all unfair. And again, what's the FBI going to investigate? That this woman thinks maybe it was Kavanaugh who did this all those years ago. And she admits she was drunk. But the Democrats are still desperate. And Feinstein's out there saying, oh, no, that's it. We got to halt the hearings. No more hearings. No more vote. Delay, delay, delay. They're trying to find some way to drag this out until after November, when the Democrats are absolutely certain they're going to have control of the Senate by hook or by crook, emphasis on the crook here. And that's what makes this new allegation absurd. This Ramirez has admitted she's not sure that it was Kavanaugh who wagged his private parts in her face. Probably because she was looking at the private parts. And I mean, they're just absolutely desperate. And believe it or not, most of the corporate media refused to run the story. This came out in the New Yorker. The New Yorker actually ran with this story, and that's what got it out there. And the Democrats are just, oh, we got him now. We've got him now. He's finished now. We've got him here. And meanwhile, of course, you know, people are still going back to Christine Ford. They're looking at her yearbook, which had been, the online copy had been deleted, but not before somebody copied it off. And they found several photos of Christine Ford in the yearbook, making it very obvious she was a wild child. And it's just a joke. Now, there's been another development here, and it turns out that it was one of Dianne Feinstein's staffers who leaked the Kavanaugh allegations to the media, because this was all supposed to be kept private as part of the vetting process here. But apparently, Feinstein staffer Heather Sawyer leaked Ford's letter, the redacted version, to the media in violation of Senate Rule 29, parentheses 5. Well, Dianne Feinstein has finally released the full unredacted version of the letter, and it's now obvious why she was reluctant to do so, because in the second paragraph, the font does not match the rest of the letter, meaning at some point along the way it has been altered. This thing's crookeder than a dog's hind end. All right, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining the network. Meanwhile, Kirsten Gillibrand is out there saying that the Senate Republicans asking Christine Ford to testify, it's a ploy to silence her, to get her so scared she'll shut up. And that really is ridiculous. I mean, the whole point of asking her to testify is to get her story and whatever provenance there may be behind it, which at this point appears to be zero. But they're trying to basically just play the victim card here. Oh, poor Christine Ford. Poor Christine Ford. Everybody's abusing her. She's the accuser. And if it's a false accusation, Brett Kavanaugh is the victim here. And the burden of proof lies with the accuser. And we know that a lot of women falsely accuse men of rape. It's been a big problem. It reached its peak in the 1990s. So Kavanaugh is out there denying this new allegation that he wagged his private parts in the face of this woman at Yale. And I imagine probably by the end of the day, the Democrats are going to be out there saying that Kavanaugh has a Death Star. He has a Death Star. He's coming to kill the Republic. It's amazing. Now, a little bit of good news. Apparently, Judge Kavanaugh is a very organized person, and he keeps calendars, paper calendars, not the electronic ones that go away when the day expires, but he keeps paper calendars. And he found his calendar from 1982. And it shows that he did not, in fact, attend that party that he's accused of attending. The incident didn't happen. It's a smear job. Let's be honest. We all know it's a smear job. We don't even need to fuss over the details anymore. We know it's a typical Democratic smear job. So, anyway, Jane Meyer, the co-author of the already suspicious story claiming that another woman was the victim of Kavanaugh, admitted that her corroborating witness provided only a second-hand account of the story. I mean, this would never get to court. It's hearsay. There's no evidence to back up the accusation. The corroborating witness is hearsay testimony. This would never stand in a court of law. And yet to the Democrats, the accusation equals guilt. Forget about presumption of innocence or due process. It's not necessary here. We're talking about a Supreme Court justice here. But this corroborating witness is now admitting didn't see a thing. Never saw the incident. No specific information that it happened. Just heard a story somewhere on the rumor mill. Anyway. So Nancy Pelosi is out there saying, we should believe the rape survivors. We should believe. We should never question. We should always assume that they're telling the truth. Oh, what about her brother who was accused of raping a girl? He got off. I didn't see Nancy Pelosi out there screaming, lock my brother up there because this woman says he raped her. Must be true. She's a woman. She wouldn't lie. Can't tell you how thoroughly disgusted I am with all of these politicians. All right. Getting on over to the White House. There is a lot of confusion going on here now about the fate of Rod Rosenstein because it was reported that he resigned because he thought he was going to be fired when he showed up to the White House today after that New York Times article. Then it was reported that he showed up for a meeting and nothing happened. Then he took his resignation back. Now he's supposed to meet with Trump on Thursday. And it's going back and forth. And frankly, given the revelations in the New York Times, Trump should have fired him right there on the spot. And once again, I'm concerned that Trump is showing himself to be a very, very weak leader. If I were sitting in that Oval Office, Rosenstein would be gone, along with a bunch of other people. And you'd think after his reality show, Trump would have plenty of experience in saying, you're fired. It's just absolutely disgusting. But supposedly, Rosenstein had told the White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, he was leaving his post before Trump could fire him. He's expecting to be fired. He should be fired. There's no question about it. So why is it flipping back and forth like that? I mean, that's the real question here. What's going on? Is Trump so controlled that he can't fire somebody who openly was attempting to remove him from office through subterfuge? Now, a lot of people think Rosenstein is going to be gone ultimately, as he should be. And so now the panic button has been hit regarding the Mueller investigation. And Andrew McCabe is out there trying to figure out how they can keep the Mueller investigation going, how they can protect it. In fact, there are Democrats in Congress who are trying to put together some kind of a bill that will immunize the Mueller investigation to say it can't be dissolved, it can't be fired. We're going to keep this thing going all the way through 2020 here. I hope the American people are paying attention to all this nonsense. I really do. I really do. They need to wake up and realize just how corrupt, not to mention childish, our politicians have become. All right, let's look at the war zones here. A lot of action happening all around the world right now. Russia has gone ahead and established a no-fly zone over Latakia province. And basically saying that it will prevent a repeat of the Ilyushin-20 aircraft tragedy, which Russia is still saying is Israel's fault. Israel's denying it. Israel's been claiming their planes were out of the area. They were headed home. The French did it or the Syrian did it. But apparently, in addition to Syria's air defense that actually launched the missile, Russia had one of their S-400 systems in operation around the Khmeimim Air Base, which is in Latakia province, and it was capturing data. And it basically saw that the missile fired by the Syrian air defense forces was targeted on an Israeli F-16, and the F-16 literally dove behind the Russian plane to break the radar lock, and that's exactly what happened. So Russia is still saying that, yeah, Israel did it, and as of right now, Israel has lost their blank check to just go on in and bomb Syria whenever they feel like it. Now, Russia is going to send the S-300 anti-missile system to Syria following the shoot-down of the Ilyushin-20. And the Russian Defense Ministry promised to take adequate measures to boost the security of Russian servicemen after the Israeli Air Force used the Russian Ilyushin-20 as a shield while attacking targets in Syria, which led to the downing of the aircraft. Okay, let's see. Somebody just sent me an email about the second Kavanaugh accuser. It's got, have a lineup of all these men and have the lady just look. Reminds me of that scene out of History of the World Part 1. I won't go into that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the movie. So Russia is sending this S-300 anti-missile system in there, and they're not explicitly saying so, but the implied message is there: no, Israel, you cannot come on in here and start bombing targets and killing people anymore. Now, John Bolton has waded on in, saying that the Russians sending the S-300 to Syria, that's a significant escalation. Harumph, 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 how dare they do that? Well, there wouldn't be a need for an escalation if it wasn't from the United States mucking about in other people's countries trying to overthrow the government and put in a puppet ruler. I mean, that's really what's behind all of this in all of these countries. The U.S. government has a very bad habit of just going into other people's countries and trying to take them over. And then when it all blows up in everybody's faces, the U.S. government goes, harumph, 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 how dare they? How dare they fight back against us? It's ridiculous. Okay, we're going to take a phone call now from Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
S-300 version 4. That's got 250-kilometer range. So that's going to cover that whole area, Mike. And it's not the only thing they're sending over there. They're sending over electronic warfare equipment. They're going to be jamming. Lots of planes over there, too, so they'll be showing up in the next 2 weeks. So if something's going to happen, it's going to be within the next 2 weeks. You know, but I'm wondering, maybe Russia already has some of this equipment there. You know,
I would imagine
maybe
probably a lot of it was pre-positioned here. I mean, knowing that there's an S-400 at Khmeimim Air Base, my question right now is that it's only a matter of time before either Russia shoots down an Israeli plane or Israel shoots down a Russian plane. I'm expecting that Russia will just sort of absorb the loss. My question is, what will Israel do? The Israeli government, they're just arrogant beyond belief. They cling to this attitude of entitlement, and we're allowed to. I mean, they even said it a week ago. We're allowed to go anywhere. We're allowed to do anything that we want. What happens when they lose some of their warplanes to Russia? What are they going to do? That's my question.
Well, if they shoot down a Russian warplane, I see their runways and their planes, if they're not off the ground, getting knocked out, because that's what I would do first. And I think Putin told Netanyahu, when they had that phone call, what he was doing. Because, the military already been coming out, not once, but the other day again, twice, to say, that Israel's responsible for this. Everybody knows Israel's responsible for this.
Yeah, Dustin, we got to put you on hold. Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Attention RBN listeners. Dr. Ignatius Piazza, founder of Front Sight Firearms Training, and fate have come together to allow RBN to run another fundraiser till the end of the year. We didn't really expect this opportunity, but thankfully it's here and running as you hear this. We've set a goal of 500 donations by the end of the year, which averages around 6 per day, 7 days a week. When you realize all the folks listening to RBN all hours of the day and night, we think our goal is realistic and extremely critical to keep RBN on the air. If everybody listening will seriously assess their ability with firearms and then take advantage of this opportunity, we feel our goal is very conservative. Please take the time to look over Front Sight's website to get an idea of an amazing facility and the world-class training that's going on there. If this interests you, you likely will have like-minded friends that would like to know. Tell them. If for some reason some listeners are not personally interested, consider sons and daughters, close friends, nieces or nephews, top valued employees, inform club members, share the opportunity with police and fire departments. It's not too early to plan Christmas presents for special people. This fundraiser has come at an extremely critical time for RBN because the dire need for equipment upgrades. We're running on the spare tire currently with no money to fix a flat, and the fuel gauge is bouncing on E. This is one of the most valuable ways you can help RBN financially because you get Commander lifetime membership value that is 50 times your donation and can be passed on forever. How many times during life do you get to leave a legacy? See more details and contact info on our webpage, republicbroadcasting.org. And thank you.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the 7 seas. Yeah, I want to be a pirate. I want to do.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Dustin in New Jersey. And Dustin, just sort of pick up where you left off.
Yeah, Mike, Russia is they're about 20 years ahead. Maybe about 15, actually, in missile tech. And electronic warfare. So they're tops in jamming, equipment.
They proved that with the USS Donald Cook in the Black Sea.
Yeah, but Mike, Putin was under a lot of pressure, and he's trying to balance things out, but if something else happens to a Russian jet, it's going to be, they're going to have to uncork, Mike. That's it. You can only absorb so many losses.
My concern is that Putin may himself be brought down by his own hardliners, and if we get a real hardliner in charge of Russia, then the war will be on for real.
Israel would have probably been carpet bombed by now, because they wouldn't have tolerated this crap from the beginning, But, Mike, on Turkey, did you hear about Turkey and Russia is discussing a no-fly zone over in Idlib also? So Turkey's taken over I guess responsible for that part of the no-fly zone, which makes it kind of hard with the United States. They'd only have to be coming from one direction then, right? If they want to do an air assault, since the S-300s are going to be covering that area.
That's the other issue. The U.S. is not allowed to fly into Syria anymore with a warplane, same as Israel. And that's another issue. What happens if the U.S. tries to challenge the no-fly zone and they get shot down? That gets us closer to an actual shooting war with Russia.
I'll throw in Britain and France, because they're unruly. We're unruly, but so is Israel. But France and Britain are pretty tricky too. They pull they had the frigate out there, right? So they're sneaky. But hey, Mike, on Kavanaugh, isn't it amazing? What I find funny though, Hillary Clinton probably is embarrassed about it, because now it brings back up Bill Clinton when he was showing his willy to everybody except for his wife. So she's got to be like, oh no, this is coming up. It's all a setup, Mike. The same a party. He showed me his willy at a party, but I don't know if it was him. This is it's like Saddam's weapons of mass destruction. It's just lie after lie after lie, Mike. If nobody can figure out this is BS, then they're just stupid now. It's a joke now. And Mike, they're bringing in protesters already. They're
yes.
like George Soros, and they're all busting them. It's all pre-arranged and pre-planned, and they probably have a mile worth of women to come out. I don't know how much they'll get paid or whatever, but isn't it amazing how they can find somebody to just lie? Look at how easy it is just to bring somebody in that lies.
It is. I understand they got Wilma Flintstone out there now to claim that Kavanaugh assaulted her in 6000 BC.
Fred's going to be pretty pissed about that.
Yeah. Fred won't take any kind of nonsense like that kind of stuff.
He'll lay a rock on somebody's head. Stone, actually. All right, Mike, that's all I needed to say. Have a good show.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open now. Okay, now, as you know, shortly before the massive Israeli attack on Syria, aided by the French, and I'm sure this was not a coincidence, Turkey and Russia crafted a deal to deconflict Idlib and thereby avoid going in and having to actually invade the place, which looked like a really good idea, except for those who wanted the war to perpetuate. So it's run into a little bit of trouble in that the militants, the jihadis inside Idlib, are rejecting the deal. The Turkish-backed militants, they're trying to strike a midway position, if you will. They're accepting the Idlib deal, except for the part about disarmament. They all want to stop fighting, but they want to hang on to their guns. So I don't know how well that's going to work on out. But again, if you pull back and look at the big picture, the Syrian war is all but over, and that's what the U.S. is really annoyed about. Okay, this is a story that began last week, and it's really got a lot of people paying attention to just what is going on behind the wars. They're paying attention to Eisenhower's farewell address where he talked to us about the military-industrial complex. They're rereading Major General Smedley Butler's little treatise on war as a racket, because apparently the State Department team that pushed Mike Pompeo to support the war in Yemen is led by a former Raytheon lobbyist who I suspect probably has a lot of Raytheon stock in his personal portfolio. Money, 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 money. You know, we get the U.S. government to kill a bunch of people. We'll all make a lot of money. We all go home happy, except for the people who got killed, of course. Okay, we're going to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
The First Amendment in the Bill of Rights limits the government's power by ensuring the freedom of speech and preserving the rights of the people. Every day that passes, our rights gradually slip away. It's time to take a stand and let the government know we're tired of losing our rights. LibertyStickers.com will allow you to express your rights and allow millions of people to see you stand up for what you believe in. LibertyStickers.com carries the largest selection of bumper stickers online, ranging from political to humorous, and is your #1 source for Ron Paul for President stickers. As always, you can find your favorite stickers that protest the war and the president. Don't see what you're looking for? Liberty Stickers will custom make stickers that will let you get your message across for all Americans to see. Go to LibertyStickers.com and see pre-made stickers that will get everyone talking. That's LibertyStickers.com, or call 877-873-9626. Liberty Stickers, the world's most dangerous stickers.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women, children alike.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. Now, over in Israel, there's been a little bit of a kerfuffle. And compared to some of the abuses heaped on the Palestinians by the IDF. This seems rather minor, but apparently Israel is trying to clean up their image, and 2 Israeli soldiers who were working at the border to checkpoint have been detained for stripping and sexually harassing Palestinian women and stealing money from them. So good that they did that. I mean, there are so many other wrongs to redress, and a good example of that would be the case of Mohammed Khatib, who died after being taken into custody during a pre-dawn raid in Beit Rima village in the occupied West Bank. And even though the Israeli authorities said there'd been no violence during or after the arrest, the autopsy showed that the man had been beaten to death. Okay, we're going to take another phone call here from Mark in North Carolina. Aloha, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike, I think what we're seeing now is, everybody likes to say Trump plays 4D chess. I don't really think he does. I don't think Trump knows what he's doing half the time. Like this thing with Rosenstein now. I think you're right. He's showing weakness. But people are saying that Putin was showing weakness. Even I was thinking maybe that's the case. Because my reaction says, okay, you're responsible for this plane. We're going to shoot down a bunch of yours right away, or we're going to bomb a couple of your airfields. That would have been my reaction. Okay, and a lot. But Putin is a real 4D chess player, and he's also a judo expert. He knows how to use his enemies, his enemies' strengths sometimes and make them their weakness. So this is what he's done. Now he's hurt Israel and he's hurt the United States in a lot of respects, a lot more than he just shot down a couple of their planes with this S-400. That's something they fear, was the S-300. But that's something Israel fears. And I think the United States fears that too. Now their planes are no longer can fly around and just do what they want. Now, and on top of that, these things can shoot down missiles. They can do a lot of different things. And on top of that, this no-fly zone, this really puts this really hurts them.
Yes.
So that's what I think Putin did. I think he really knows how to play 4D chess. And I think if Trump really wants to survive and do something really with his presidency, instead of making an enemy out of Putin, he should really listen to the man, because I think Putin faced a lot of the same problems when he first took office in Russia. He had a lot of big problems. He really had to make Russia great again, because Russia was really doing very badly at the time. So I think that's what Trump should do, because this man really knows how to play 4D chess. From what I understand, he's not only a judo expert, but he is a chess expert too.
Yes.
And this is typical. This is right now. He just did. This is a master move. Really is. And a lot of people thought he was showing weakness, this and that. But now he's showing he's a master. He's a master of what he does. He knows his stuff. And the same thing even with this thing with Adley. I understand that they've got the terrorists pretty much boxed in there. And there's not really much they can do. And he's even got Turkey. Supposedly, he's gotten Erdogan to a point that Erdogan knows better than to fly him and, let the terrorists just do what they want. So we'll see about that also. We'll see what's going on. I certainly wouldn't trust Erdogan as far as I could tell. I wouldn't trust Erdogan, and I wouldn't trust Netanyahu. It's there's two turds of the same feather, But
it's a good phrase. Good phrase. The difference between the two of them is Netanyahu is predictable, because you know what his policies and his agenda ultimately are. Erdogan, on the other hand, is kind of a loose cannon on deck, and he has been ever since that aborted coup d'etat against him. But yes, he's definitely moved away from the U.S. sphere of influence. He's definitely moved closer to Russia. And of course, Erdogan's agenda regarding both Syria and Iraq is to basically corral the Kurds, who've been a pain in the neck to a lot of governments in the region, not just Syria and Turkey and Iraq, but even Iran.
Well, the reason why I say Erdogan and Netanyahu put them in the same boat pretty much, even though I don't know. You're right. He probably is less predictable than Netanyahu. But the thing is, as far as both have imperial ambitions, Erdogan wants to recreate the Ottoman Empire, and Netanyahu, I think, wants to create what he says the Bible or the Torah says is ancient Israel, which would, I guess, you could say, Greater Israel, which would probably take in Syria and maybe parts of Egypt and who knows where else.
Well,
So
the biblical Israel, the promised biblical Israel or Eretz Israel reaches from the Nile to the Euphrates. So, yeah, it involves taking a lot of other people's real estate.
So I think that's what in a lot of respects is going on. Now, in order to avoid this and to stop this nonsense, the U.S., if we're going to be involved at all, personally, I think American troops should all come home, get out of the rest of the world, and mind their own business and protect this country and maybe protect our neighbors. I mean, if somebody tried to threaten Mexico or Canada, it's one thing. That would be a direct threat to the United States. Other than that, we should stay out of all this stuff. But if we are going to be involved, would behoove the United States and Russia to cooperate. And this way they could control people like Erdogan and Netanyahu. That would make sense. Maybe cooperate with China also.
Well,
those are the three real superpowers in the world today.
That was actually what was going on after the Soviet Union collapsed and the Russian Republic emerged, and everybody was friends, and we were doing business with China, we were doing business with Russia, and that was the idea, that these three nations would basically sort of keep things calm around the globe. But then Putin took direct government control of Russia's central bank, and at that point he went right to the top of the to be invaded list.
Behave that way, but certainly would be a lot better off if we did the other way, But one thing that was going on in the 90s, though, too, Russia was being taken advantage of. That's even come out in certain papers and all that, and a lot of I don't know if you ever watched the Duran or even Crosstalk. That comes out a lot about how Russia was actually. Especially Yeltsin. Yeltsin had a bad drinking problem to top everything else.
Yes.
And being taken advantage of, especially by Slick Willie. That's why we got away with bombing the Serbs. If Putin was in there, we would never get away with something like that, bombing the Serbs, They've always been very close to Russia. So, pretty much it, Mike. Like I said, but, that would certainly make sense if superpowers would start cooperating with each other instead of trying to one-up each other. And personally, I put most of the blame on us because people like Bolton and Pompeo and others, neocons, the neocons and neolibs.
Well, they're the front face of what's going on, but ultimately what's driving all of this is economics. Because with the loss of our manufacturing over the last 30 years and nobody wanting our GMO agriculture, the only thing still holding the U.S. economy up is forcing everybody to use the U.S. dollar in cross-border trade and banking and charging them a fee for that. And if enough countries stop doing that, then foreign demand for the dollar drops and it's all going to unwind here in the United States.
Hey, that would be a good idea if we stopped with this GMO and start with real food again, I mean, I'm making my business, I'm cooking now, I'm making my business to get as much organic products as possible and much natural and make sure it says non-GMO, because...
that's going to be getting harder and harder because that pollen just blows everywhere. I mean, in order to get rid of GMO, every single field that has been planted with GMO is either going to have to be burned or allowed to lie fallow for 3 years, which is how long it takes for pollen to die. And I think it was Hungary actually went with the first step. When they decided they didn't want to get into GMO, they literally burned every single farm field in the country to the ground and replanted.
Well, that would be a good idea if we did that. But unfortunately, again, when you talk about Trump, I don't even think he understands that. And looking at the way he looks, he even shows it in his own dietary habits that he doesn't understand any of that. You know, he seems to understand something like about the poison of the vaccine, but he hasn't done anything there either. But as far as food goes, personally, I'm surprised he enjoys the kind of good health that he seemingly still has. You know, because I mean, the man, you know, he's the old seafood diet. He sees something, he eats it. You know? And and you can see it, his puffy face and belly and everything else. Am I right or what?
Well, I know we are told that he does not drink, but I think the puffy face may indicate that he does, in fact, indulge when people are not looking. It's kind of hard to imagine somebody who owns casinos not having an occasional glass of scotch.
Well, I don't know, because supposedly his brother died of being an alcoholic, so that would have an effect. You know, the puffy face comes from, you know, look, if you eat the wrong foods and you eat a lot of the wrong foods, it'll look like that. Especially after all, he's over 70 now. You know, your metabolism slows down as it is, and if you don't eat according and exercise according to your metabolism, you're just going to put on a weight. And a lot of times that weight will show in the face. You know. So I'm not surprised, really. And supposedly he loves that junk food. He loves McDonald's, which is really, McDonald's is, you talk about GMO food, that's about as poisonous as it gets. I mean,
True.
You take the animals that are slaughtered there, these are the types that are, you know, horribly treated. They're penned in. They have no real, they can't graze. They don't do anything. They're fed a corn diet, probably mostly of GMO corn. And that's the kind of garbage you get when you go and eat that fast foods and all that, like at McDonald's, Burger King.
Yeah, plus the fillers. I mean, these days when it says this is a beef patty, they don't mean it's cow. Beef is now a label that is put on to a combination of real meat and a bunch of fillers. And unfortunately, the USDA allows food manufacturers to do that. When you go to the supermarket and you get a can labeled tuna, there could actually be 17 different species of fish in there, but they're allowed to use tuna as a brand label rather than a description of the contents.
I try to do most of my shopping these days at places like Trader Joe. Not everything at Trader Joe is what it seems. You know that lady, what's her? She's got like an Indian name. They call her a food babe. She's warned about that. But when it does say though organic, it's usually pretty good. And like when you're looking at like tuna fish and all that, they think wild caught. When it says wild caught, usually getting something halfway decent. Same thing with salmon, you know, and a lot of times it's salted with sea salt, which is certainly a lot better than regular table salt. So
I agree with you on that one. Regular table salt is mined, and ultimately, though, it came from the ocean. But yeah, sea salt matches the salts that's in your bloodstream. As far as tuna, if you look at shows like, you know, Wild Tuna or whatever, you come to understand real tuna are declining in numbers. So they got to be finding something else to put in those cans. Anyway, listen, Mark, we're going to let you go, and we're going to switch over here to Frank in London. Aloha, Frank. Thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. What it is, I wanted to talk about the brilliance of Putin. When you bear in mind that there are a lot of hardliners in Russia that's had enough of what's been done to them, actually 3 or 4 times on 4 occasions now in Syria, and Putin has managed to keep these people calm, at least suppress them, and
yes.
He just shows his calmness and his sense of reasoning. The man is brilliant. He is one of the few statesmen that is left on this planet at the moment, because someone was trying to compare that weird guy in France, I forgot his name now, Macron.
Yes.
That guy is always wearing that, showing off his socks, and that's kind of silliness. There is no comparison. You know, there's no comparison. And now we got Erdogan. He has delusions of grandeur, really.
Yes.
He wants to try and recreate the Ottoman Empire, and you got the guy at the other side of the coin. What's his name? Netanyahu, right? He wants to fulfill the biblical Israel, right? That's what he wants to do. So you got these two nutballs, really, in their own way, and it's really just to show you that I'm sure these people are aware that this one world agenda is not going to work. It's going to collapse, and they must know that. So they're just trying to get their little empires going, because I don't think this one world order is going to come to fruition. I just can't see it happening, because there are massive pushbacks now that are coming in Europe as I speak.
Yes.
And I can't see it happening. The only the negative that these things can easily erupt into civil wars, and it might just be localized to the USA. It can spread all through Europe, and that's you're looking at a worldwide catastrophic consequences if something like that happens, because it can. You think about it, it's a possibility.
It is a possibility, and if you think about it from the European people's point of view, their governments, their leaders who are on board with the globalism and open borders have literally flooded their neighborhoods with these very angry combat age males, who are used to lives of violence, and so it could get very ugly. Anyway, Frank, we're going to let you go. I got to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about Angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. After just 1 week of taking Angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Do you know there is an ongoing war right here in America? Are you aware that U.S. citizens have been classified as enemies of the state since 1933? Have you recognized that our entire government is really a vast network of interlocking corporations engaged in commerce? Look up Title 28, Section 3002. Tune in to In Defense of Humanity on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. Find out what's really going on and learn how to protect yourself and your family as flesh and blood men and women living in a corporate reality.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read a few from Amazon.com. Dr. Sam Serino reviewed the Extendivite product. Good ingredients, feeling much better since taking product. It seems that the tablets work well. Once again, thank you for your product. My acid reflux has really improved thanks to the Extendivite. Together with my thumb joints, the pain is gone and I'm able to grip things much better. My friend has peripheral arterial disorder and their lower legs were hurting in a red color, but thankfully, there has been a significant improvement. Kind regards, Janice. My husband feels a big difference using Extendivite. Thank you. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. Now, Israeli Americans are now calling on Donald Trump to stop Mahmoud Abbas, president of the Palestinian Authority, from entering the United States to attend the UN General Assembly in New York. Now, over 100 nations now recognize that Palestine is a state, much to Israel's unending annoyance here. But apparently this group of what are described as families of American victims of Palestinian terrorism have sent a letter to Donald Trump saying that allowing Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, to enter the United States is a threat to the American people. Now, that is a bit of a reach, but it's just another tactic by Israel to try and silence any possible voice that might get up at the United Nations and say, you know, Israel's behaving badly, and this institution, it's time to deal with that. It's time to stop pretending that there's nothing going on over there in Israel and Palestine and take a look at what's happening. Now, Israel, working through Egypt, is trying to get the March of Return to stop because it's making Israel look bad. Because these peaceful protesters are getting out there at the fence that separates Gaza from the rest of Israel, and they're protesting for their promised right of return. And Israel shoots them. And the optics on it are really bad. Well, Israel doesn't want to grant the Palestinians a right to return, even though Israel itself promised this was going to happen back when they joined the United Nations. So working through the Egyptians, they're trying to get Hamas to say, end the demonstrations. It's looking really bad for Israel. We need you to stop that. And Egypt is acknowledging this is a demand originating with Israel. Apparently, there is no direct communication between Israel and Hamas. They're going through the Egyptians. Meanwhile, getting back to the Great March of Return, apparently 15 Palestinians were wounded this last Friday. So maybe the Israelis are running out of bullets. But they were all shot by live gunfire. As you know, Donald Trump is getting ready to chair his first United Nations Security Council meeting Wednesday of this week. And the indications are that he's going to use this meeting basically to bash Iran. Iran is bad. Iran is bad. We've got to go after Iran. We've got to, Iran is a top geopolitical threat. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. And just urge the Security Council to pass resolutions to get Iran to stop doing something that they're probably already not doing anyway. And so Trump is going to be trying to sell the idea that Iran is meddling in the Middle East, and by golly, that's my job. Iran can't meddle in all those countries. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. All right, there's the music. We're going to take a break for station identification. Back with hour number 2 after these few words.
This is too good to be true, except this time it is real. 100%. No joke. How about a $25,000 membership to Front Sight Firearms Training Facility as a thank you bonus for a one-time donation to RBN of only $500? It is a Commander lifetime membership with no yearly fees or dues. The training is free for the rest of your life with over 50 different classes. Then leave it to your designated beneficiary. You provide the approved firearm, holster, ammo, eye, and ear protection. Many features and bonuses are included, more than you would ever expect or believe. This is the ultimate graduation present, wedding gift, etc., etc. See the details. Go to RBN's webpage and frontsight.com to make it happen. You will hear this offer only on this radio network. Help keep RBN alive. Tell 5.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. Hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we're going to go to the phones now to Don in Iowa. Aloha, Don. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. Yes, on this, as far as this Rosenstein deal, some people think that what Rosenstein said was he was only joking when he said he was going to, I agree that he should have been fired a long time ago just for everything, just for all the stuff that he's done. But as far as this one aspect of wiring himself to go get Trump, he said he was only joking. And some people think he's being set up because, I don't know. So it might be more murky than what we know. But I guess they're going to talk to him on Thursday. Well, maybe Trump will talk to him and say, look, you want to keep your job so you can get your good pension. Okay, start doing your job. Maybe it should be something like that.
I'll be very honest here. First of all, Rod Rosenstein completely violated the special counsel statute in the way that he appointed Robert Mueller as a special counsel. There's a process you're supposed to go through where first there is a normal Department of Justice investigation, and only after that investigation finds evidence that something illegal was done do you appoint a special counsel. Rosenstein didn't do that. He simply tapped Mueller and said, go on after Trump. Normally, special counsels are appointed to investigate a single crime, a very narrow selection of crimes. Rosenstein gave Mueller basically carte blanche and said anything you can find to get after Trump. And I'll be very honest, if Thursday comes and Trump does not hand Rosenstein a pink slip, then Trump is going to have proven himself a very weak leader, totally compromised, and I will have lost, all confidence in him whatsoever.
Well, he should have been fired. Rosenstein should have been fired a year ago.
I agree. So should Sessions. Sessions should have been shown the door.
But on this Kavanaugh deal, I don't know if you know, but Kavanaugh's going to be on TV tonight. He's got an interview, so he's doing what he should do. These girls are afraid to even talk in public. To anybody. They're afraid to even show their face, and yet they're dripping out these venomous accusations. He's going to go on TV tonight on Fox News, Martha McCallum, and just tell everybody how mad. I'm sure he'll be civil, but he's just totally mad, and he should be. Okay, I'll let you go, Mike. Thanks a lot.
All right. Well, you're absolutely right. Kavanaugh has every right to be angry, and we know that false accusations of sexual impropriety are a reality of life. And again, going on back to the militant feminist male bash movement of the 1990s, rape became the second most falsely reported crime in the entire country, according to the FBI's supplemental crime statistics. So, in point of fact, no, you shouldn't believe the women or the men, because women can and do lie about these sorts of things. In some cases, it's malicious, like with Kavanaugh. They're trying to get him. They're trying to smear him, which is what this is. In a lot of cases, it could be morning after regrets, where a woman goes to bed with a man and they have sex, and she gets up the next morning and saying, oh, I'm a bad girl, I'm a bad girl. No, I'm not. He raped me, he raped me, he raped me. It does happen. That's just a reality we have to deal with here. Okay, story just now coming on, and apparently Mitch McConnell has had enough of this Kavanaugh circus, and he's now saying the vote to confirm Kavanaugh will happen very soon. Didn't give an actual date on it, but I think pretty much everybody is fed up with how long this has gone on and how ridiculous it has gone on. And I can imagine from Mitch McConnell's point of view, it is making the Senate look bad in the eyes of the American people. These are supposed to be men and women who are respectable, who are deliberative, who are learned, who are going to be basically evaluating things on the base of facts, logic, and law, and merit. And instead, over the last couple of months, we have seen the Senate just turn into this, this mud fight. They're writhing around in the mud, pitching mud balls back and forth, trying to get something to stick on Kavanaugh. So we'll see what's going to happen on that one. Alrighty, getting on back to the international news, North Korea is now seeking investments from South Korea. And it's another indication that for all intents and purposes, the Korean War is now over. Technically, the state of war still exists, but with all of these motions they're doing, it's like, yeah, we were at war 60 years ago, but we just got tired of it here. And off to one side, you've got the United States saying, no, the war isn't over until we say it's over. It's our war. We paid for it. You're not allowed to declare peace. But the two Koreas are moving toward reunification. They're opening up the bridges. They're opening up the rail lines. They're letting people travel back and forth and see family they haven't seen for all these years. They're merging their militaries. That's an absolute sign of reunification. Moon Jae-in, Kim Jong-un are getting along just fine. And I imagine their next step is going to be to basically go before the United Nations and say, it's time to relax all these restrictions. It's a new era. And a lot of people are saying, with the Koreas are making peace, they're doing peace through commerce. North Korea has shut down its nuclear test facility. It's shut down its missile test stand. It's now dismantling one of its launching facilities. The crisis is really over. It's time for Trump to end the war. But of course, the business of the United States of America is war. Peace is bad for business. Oh, we can't have peace. If peace broke out around the world, the U.S. economy would collapse because most of our economy is actually geared toward war. And that is a really telling indicator of the true nature of our society, is how much of our economy, how much of our manufacturing is geared to the business of war and destruction. We're going to do a shout out now to our honor affiliates who are just now rejoining our network here. Meanwhile, the United States has announced they're going to start ramping up their efforts to disrupt North Korean oil smuggling. And apparently one of the sanctions against North Korea is that they're not allowed to export their oil. We're going to shut that off. Same thing they're talking about doing with Iran. So North Korea has been accused of basically smuggling their oil, of sending oil tankers out to the middle of the Pacific and then transferring oil to ships from other countries who will then sail back on into their home countries and offload the oil. And so now the United States and their allies are going to start patrolling the waters around North Korea to disrupt these activities. Now, here's my theory. What happens if they interdict one of these mid-ocean meetings and it turns out not to be North Korea? I mean, oil in large volume is a valuable commodity. And with all the sanctions all around the world, I imagine there's probably a lot of smuggling going on. But if you think about it, while the North Korean ships are at sea all by themselves, there is no legal basis to stop them. And once the transfer has been made, there's no legal basis to stop the recipient ship on its way back to its home port. To do so would be technically an act of piracy. So the U.S. apparently is planning on catching these ships while the transfer is being made, which tells me that they're going to start doing the transfers at night. But, you know, I think about what's going on here with these transfers, and it reminds me of the very first Star Wars movie where Princess Leia is defiantly saying, the more you tighten your fingers, the more systems will slip through them. And that's exactly what's going on. The U.S. is trying to tighten its hegemonic grip around planet Earth, and it's not working. Countries are finding ways to evade that control. They're abandoning the dollar. They're evading the sanctions. They're tired of being pushed around by the American empire. And I do not blame them. Okay, over in Connecticut, the Electric Boat Company in Groton has announced plans for an $850 million shipyard expansion. Apparently, they're going to construct a new assembly facility and a floating dry dock. Apparently, they're expecting there's going to be a growth in the business of submarine construction. And apparently, yeah, like I said, war is good for the war business, and war business is what the United States is all about. Speaking of wars, a little factoid you might want to keep in your mind here. So far, the U.S. war on terror has cost at least $5 trillion with a T. And during the war on terror, terrorism has increased by 650 times. So you just think about that for a while. Talk about a massive failure. But again, what constitutes terrorism? Well, it's unconventional warfare. And terrorists are just freedom fighters pointed the other way. These days, the United States declares anybody that opposes U.S. hegemonic domination to be terrorists. They don't like us, they must be terrorists. They don't want to be ruled by us, well, obviously they're terrorists. It's time to get Ahmed, the dead terrorist, back out here for a few jokes here. There's an organization called Save the Children. You've probably seen their ads on TV. And they are estimating that 590,000 children in war zones will die from malnutrition, as they are expected to not receive any aid. It's being blocked off. And Save the Children has estimated there are 4.5 million children under the age of 5 that need immediate treatment for life-threatening malnutrition in some of the most war-torn regions of the world. Now, Save the Children may be underestimating that a little bit because the UN is saying that in Yemen alone, there are 5.3 million children who are in danger of starving to death. And when Saudi Arabia succeeds in closing the port of Hodeidah, it is estimated Yemen has only 2 months of food stockpiled. That's it. That's it. All right, let's grab a phone call from Mark in Philadelphia. Aloha, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, Michael. Last week, I listened to Rick Adams' show. He's on Saturdays, and he has a regular guest on there named Art from Philadelphia. And Art has the website noplaceforcorruption.com. Art grew up in Pennsylvania, in the far suburbs of Philadelphia, but he learned about the inner power workings of a certain power group that's worked out of Philadelphia for a long time. And they work with that small country over there that seems to be running the World Warfare program. Anyway, he brought to our attention that if Trump really is for making America great again, why is it that they've approved 550,000 new H-1B visas since the beginning of the year? Had you heard that?
Yeah, I'd heard that, and part of the problem there is obviously the corporations think they can get these visa people to work for less money, but the other part of it is they're better educated. We have had a decade now of our education system being turned into propagandists and indoctrination. And so we have kids who are coming out of high school who can't even really read and write, but they know what they're supposed to believe. And employers are looking at that talent pool, and they're not finding people who are really qualified for the high-tech work. And so that's another reason why they're issuing these H-1B visas. Now, if Trump would like to make America great again, one of the first places to start is the education system and get all this liberal nonsense out of it, get Common Core out of there, and start teaching, first of all, the truth about things like the Bill of Rights, and again, just get this fairy tale liberal ideology out of our education system and get back to reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Well, I'm going to challenge you on this because my sense of it is there are corporations waiting in the wings who can rubber stamp these, have these H-1B visas rubber stamped. India, most of the H-1B visas that are being approved, from what I gather, are Indians. Okay, so and if you walk on the campus of the University of Pennsylvania, which last time I checked, it is an Ivy League school. It's also where that's where President Trump went, at Wharton School of Business, is there on the campus. You look around, you walk around, because I have, and I do it regularly. I look everywhere, and nary do I find a white person. Who I find are Chinese and Indians. How is that happening? India is supposed to be a very poor country, which, by the way, Art also brought to our attention that during the Cold War, the curtain, the Iron Curtain.
Yes.
India was behind the Iron Curtain. They're a communist country. They have a caste system where once a person is born into the caste, they're never going to leave that caste, that level of lifestyle, or if they're born poor, they're probably going to stay poor. So that's an advanced culture? Really? I don't buy it, okay? And I take offense at Indians being brought over because they're smarter than we are. Well, there's a lot of older people like myself. By the way, I used to work on the A6 Intruder. You ever heard of it?
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
I worked on the radar systems.
Okay.
Now, recently I was displaced from my work. Okay, here's something that's going on locally, and I just found this out a week ago, and I'm mad as hell. I was displaced, so I was going to go seek training through the employment office, and they have this funding that comes from the federal government that funds some programs for high-demand careers paths. And one of them is electromechanical, which basically is a basic introduction to robotics. It's a 6-month course, and on the other side of that is a $60,000 a year salary. Okay. And my training in the military was similar to the course curriculum that I was to take. Well, here's the deal. The fiscal year for the state starts in August. So they have from August 1st to the end of August to approve for the next school year. Now, most schools that I've ever heard about have always started in September. The state has yet to approve the school list. This state, Pennsylvania, the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, has yet to approve the school list for this state for these high-demand occupations, one of them being electrical mechanical, the other one being CNC machining, the other one being welding. They have yet to approve the list, although the money's there, so it's not an excuse about the state doesn't have enough money. No. So what's going on? And I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. Why would they pull the rug out from under myself and others like me who want to get these trainings to get really very find a really decent job. I mean, $60,000 a year is not bad. So what's going on there? And by the way, these courses have been around for several years. They were brought forth by the Advanced Manufacturing Technology Group, and because there's such a high demand and there's such a need. So and they've had these courses for several years now. So this isn't an issue like this is new for the state. No, the states approved them in years previous, but this year they're something's going on. So it's and I've been planning this since February, Mike, and it's a big letdown for me. But yet,
okay,
those four Indians come over and take our jobs. I'm sorry. No, I am going to fight for the right of Americans to have good paying jobs, Michael.
I'm putting you on hold.
It's not an excuse.
Do not hang up. Do not hang up. After these commercials, I'm going to come back to you, okay? So stay calm, take a few deep breaths. We'll be right back.
Extendivite is more than just a heart tonic. Most basic diseases are caused by yeast in the gut and metals in the liver, and we all have a bit of both. The garlic in Extendivite has a yeast-killing effect in the gut while also helping the sulfur enzyme in the liver get rid of the metals. Extendivite just may improve your overall health. Products like Extendivite are the only way we are going to get our society healthy. And if you're waiting for the government and pharmaceutical care to solve your health problems, you're going to have a long, disappointing wait, I think. Extendivite is a complete formula for extended life in the new millennium. 80 can be the new 60. Extendivite is available in capsule or liquid form for just $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To get started, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no work, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting...
And so once again, we're standing here with our hands outstretched saying, please send us money. We need your support. And the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can call in a credit or debit card donation or pledge to be a recurring subscriber is 800-724-2719, extension 1 during business hours. And remember, it's in Central U.S. time, extension 3 at all other times. And don't forget that Firearms Academy training deal. That is a really, really good deal. All right, we're talking with Mark in Philadelphia, and he's relating a story which I'm sure probably a lot of Americans can identify with, of being displaced out of their jobs. And you were talking about you're trying to sign up for this government-sponsored training program. The money is there, but typical of the bureaucracy, they seem to have dropped the ball.
Yes, and they're dragging their heels. The school year starts in September. It turned out that my class was pushed back until start October, but I found out only just last week that, I said, well, when will it get approved? Sometime in October. I said, my class starts October 1st, and I've been waiting on since February. And they've done this before where everything went through, but this year it's not going through, and something's up. So. Now back to this deal about the Indians coming over. Okay, there's a lot of industry in South Carolina. Okay, there's a lot of technically oriented positions down there. A lot of industry going on. Boeing's down there, Volvo's down there. The Springer trucks, Mercedes makes the Springer trucks there, the vans. There's also BMW in Spartanburg. Not too far away is for VW. Then in Chattanooga. A lot of these companies, if you look at who's on the board, who's actually running them and controlling them, it's very peculiar. They're kind of related to that country over there in that little country that wants us to go to war all the time, and
yes,
wants our guys to go to war for them, and they're connected. And by the way, Israel and India are connected at the waist. They are buddy. Nikki Haley is an Indian. Okay, she comes from an Indian family. Who's State Department? Is she the Secretary of State? Yeah. Right. So there's a connection there, and I'm telling you, my take on it is, and I'm getting word from the ground that highly technically capable people are being displaced in the Southeast in these companies that I've just mentioned. They've been displaced, and they're moving them out, moving our people out, and moving the Indians in. I don't like it. Now, the other thing that's going on is the mom and pops across this country, because I'm from the Midwest originally, Missouri. I'm finding out that these mom and pop little motels and the convenience stores, Indians everywhere. Indians own them now. How's that happen? Well, they get some kind of financing, government loans, government grants to come over here and just, do business. While we Americans, if we apply for those same things, there's nothing available for us. I'm telling you, this is being controlled. It's controlled infiltration of our country. And the higher technical positions, which you say we don't have enough people that are, well, the young people maybe, but we still got a lot of older people. And by the way, I'm 57, and I'm 57 years young, and I got a lot of life left in me. Well, I got a lot of fire in my belly, and I'm not standing for this. And the other people out there listening, you shouldn't stand for it either. You should say no. I'm boycotting every one of these companies that has an Indian, that's Indian owned. Dunkin' Donuts is owned by Indians. Most everyone you go to. 7-Eleven, other stores, Subways. I'm finding Subways. Who's behind the counter now? Indians. What's up with that? So they're getting these franchises. They've got a family line of franchisees owners, all going all the way back to Mumbai. And they're just all lined up, ready and waiting to go into business here in America, as if they need it more than we do. I'm sorry, I don't buy it, and I'm not buying it. It's wrong. My forefathers didn't shed their blood, sweat, and tears, only to have people from another land come over and just pick the golden fruit and then claim it as theirs, and then have an arrogance about it. When I first encountered Indians 20 years ago, they were humble and had respect. Now, especially the young ones, they have an arrogance about them, like it's theirs and it always was theirs. And I beg to differ. I don't like it. It's wrong, and I would dare not do that to them going over to their country. Me individually, I would not go to their country and claim that I owned their land and their territory and their businesses. I wouldn't do it, because that's just not me. And I think most Americans are like that as well. But it's wrong that they're doing it to us. So please, hopefully people out there will hear this and say no. Next time you have a choice of who to do business with, just say no. And to these infiltrators, because and they're being infiltrated by Israel. Sorry, dual Israeli citizen companies are bringing them in, Mike, and they're displacing us. So I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, I can hear your anger and I understand your frustration. Again, a large part of this is caught up in that globalist agenda of trying to mix everybody together. And you're right. There are financial advantages given to people coming from other countries that are not made available to the American people. Anyway, Mark, we got to let you go. We got to take another break for commercials. We got more callers waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. As most of you know, my regular listeners, I offer energy cleaners for sale at my website. If you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, go to my website, thelibertyman.com, educate yourself about these marvelous healing devices. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, doesn't matter. Keep in mind, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. The energy cleaner is $285, shipping included to American zip codes. You can educate yourself all about the energy cleaner right there at my website, the patent application, the wonderful testimonials. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the energy cleaner. Now, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. I have a toll-free order line, or you can order it right at my website at thelibertyman.com. That toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Thank you.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds, up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far 5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the telephones to Steve in West Virginia. Aloha, Steve. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hello, Steve.
Too quick.
We seem to have a bad phone connection, Steve.
Okay, you all call back.
Okay, yeah. All right, please call back. We're going to switch over to Joe in Brooklyn. Aloha, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, man. How you doing?
Doing fine.
Yeah, I was just, you were talking about Save the Children earlier, and I don't know if you've ever read this book, The Road to Hell, by Michael Marin.
No, I have not.
Well, it kind of gives like a grim perspective on Save the Children. I just thought you might want to give that book a look.
Well, from the context in which you've made this call, I would suspect that it's basically saying that, like so many other large organized charities, that it's more about making money for themselves than actually helping the intended victims. And unfortunately, that is also a very common feature of the American landscape these days.
Right. It's sort of like I don't know, a front group. I don't, that's how, like, I took the story. I mean, it was very, like, you would get like 2 chapters in and it just makes you want to puke. It's very sad, and that was the book was written in, I think, 1997, a long time ago, but that book is just, I was very skeptical about the world after that. I read that.
Well, we know that, a lot of these so-called charities have been hit with major scandals, up to and including the Red Cross itself. And unfortunately...
I think they covered that in that as well.
I think the problem is that as our American society, or culture, if you will, has lost its moral compass, Americans as a whole have become more easily corruptible. And that is a very sorry state of affairs. It doesn't reflect well on American people around the world. But it does seem to be a fact. But on the other hand, it's not just confined to the United States. It does seem that people are unfortunately corruptible, because globally we're losing our moral compass. And we're taking our lead from the money junkies and the politicians who are just saying, whatever works, whatever gets you the money and power. I imagine that young people who are watching what's going on with Kavanaugh are getting the message it's okay for women to falsely accuse men of rape. And I expect we'll probably see a new epidemic of these kind of allegations coming on out. Anytime there's a woman who wants to get a man out of her way at the workplace, oh, he touched me. And we're handing unscrupulous women, or for that matter, men, a very, very potent weapon if we abandon the presumption of innocence.
Right. Well, anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to talk about that, Save the Children, and there's just sort of like kind of a Trojan horse, as many NGO groups are.
Yeah, it is a sad story, which is why, Claire and I are directly involved in a couple of local programs. One of them provides school lunches for children in the last week of every month, which is when the food stamp money runs on out. The other is providing just food for the hungry, and we're directly involved at, shall we say, street level, and that way we know that our help, as small as it is in fact, reaching the people who need it. Okay, back to the phone. Steve in West Virginia called back on in. So, Steve, let's give it another try and see if the phone connection is working.
Yeah, hi, Mike. I've got 2 quick points for you. Just one, the first one on the guy that was talking about the Indians buying all the stores and stuff. What I want to tell you, Indian store gas station for 20 years. on the West Coast. And when I went to put it up for sale, the only people in the market to buy them were Indians. And I don't think the people that bought my store, I don't think they got the money from the government. What they did is they did like the Vietnamese. They put money together from people back in India, and that's how they bought it.
Okay, that sounds good.
And they're really, I mean, the people I dealt with were willing to work, you know, not take any vacations and just work every single day. They don't have the same. Americans want a vacation and stuff like that, and I totally understand that because that's why I got out of it. But the Indians will work. They will just work nonstop. So
they do have an
the
excellent
second
work
one-
ethic. So do the Vietnamese, and I remember all the way back when we went through the Rodney King riots. There was an interesting phenomenon, and that was that down there in South Central, where the local black community was claiming it was an economic ghetto and there was no economic opportunity, and that's why they were poor, and that's why they were demanding welfare and assistance. And yet, in every block, there was a convenience store that was doing quite well and was owned by foreigners who were working like 12, 14 hours a day to make it work. And when the riots broke out, those stores were the first things that were targeted because they were proving that, yes, you could be economically prosperous in South Central, and that went against this whole victimhood that was being played at the time.
Yeah, you're right. The people that bought my store, the owner, the actual guy that bought it, is behind the counter like 12, 14 hours a day, still, even to this day. And I know that, even though I don't live anywhere near there, I know that from friends. They'll tell me. So I actually, when I sold mine, I took a note for 10 years, and they paid me on time. They gave me a large down payment. I actually sold the place for 6 times more than I paid for it. But I took a note from them, and they paid me on time and paid me off at the end with the balloon payment. So, but one other thing I want to talk to you about that's far more important is the Syria thing, and I want to point you out to, there's a state senator in Virginia by the name of Richard Black.
Yes.
He's a former JAG officer and a helicopter pilot, decorated Vietnam veteran helicopter pilot. And he is out in front. He's been making several interviews. He's out in front saying that the United States has backed Al Qaeda, ISIS, and with the help of Britain and Israel. And he's out there in the front lines telling people that. He's done several interviews. I'd like to see. I know for a fact. In fact, I talked to him on the phone Sunday. I know for a fact he'd probably come on your show or something. But it's just proof that people are starting to come out and tell the truth about what's going on over there. So I just wanted to point that out to you. Richard Black is a state senator from Virginia.
Okay, well, we'll look at trying to get him on the show here. I do need more guests on the program here. So, in my copious amounts of free time, I'll try and connect with him. So, Steve, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. Boy, the phone line's just loaded on up. We're going to go to Rhonda in Missouri. Aloha, Rhonda. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. I was looking through job descriptions, and I wanted to get your opinion on this one because it's really kind of weird. But the first thing they start out with is this position may be subject to companies' political contribution policy. An offer of employment may be contingent upon disclosing to the company the details of certain political contributions. Company may decline to extend an offer or terminate employment if it determines political contributions made could have been adverse impact on the company's current or future
I don't
business
know
interests.
what the laws are in Missouri, but I know that in most states that would be illegal. It's a violation of the Equal Protection Clause. and not to
I have
mention the
never
First
seen
Amendment.
anything like this.
I've never seen anything like that, and I'll tell you right now, I would not even bother sending a resume to a company that had an ad like that. If I were you, I would try and find local resources as to whether, you know, your job hiring can be contingent on your political bias, because I think that somebody maybe needs a lawsuit to remind them that politics and the workplace need to be kind of separated.
Yeah, okay. I just thought that was really weird. That's how they start out. I'm like, way to limit your candidate pool there, buddy.
Yeah, I absolutely
who
would.
wants to talk
What is
about
the
that?
position for? What are they hiring you to do?
It's an investment. It's an investment firm.
Yeah, that's really it's inappropriate. I don't know if it's illegal where you live, but it's definitely inappropriate, and I would most assuredly not even send a resume to them.
Right, right. I just wanted to see if you'd ever heard of anything. Now I'm just saying, bringing it to people's attention that apparently now it's it is a good question if it's legal or not. But now they're trying to hire people based upon their political views. What? You know, it's just weird to me. Anyway, maybe they don't want a fight breaking out at the water cooler. Who knows?
Well, maybe not, but I mean, if it was like a lobbying group or, you know, somebody involved in the political process, the question might be considered legitimate. But for an investment firm, no. There's definitely a problem there. Anyway, Rhonda, thanks an awful lot for the phone call.
Thank you.
If you find out whether it's illegal or not, do call back on in, because I'd like to know about that. We're going to switch over now to Joe in Tennessee. Aloha, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm enjoying watching how they're really turning the heat up in Washington with this Kavanaugh nomination. I mean, I was watching today on live feed off Facebook, all these protesters, they're all wearing matching black shirts and marching around with their Black Panther fists in the air, or you know, whatever the fist means now. A lot of people with Yale shirts. And once again, I'd say that if there were some alt-right guys, you know, three of us in flannel shirts marching around the Capitol, we'd be tased and beat up in probably about 2 minutes. So the double standard is really remarkable. But the whole thing with Kavanaugh is going to end up blowing up in the left's face. I think it already is. Most women I know think that it's a load of malarkey. And I just watched a preview of Kavanaugh's interview on Fox where he said he was a virgin through high school and through most of college. So they picked the wrong guy. I think they thought they had a frat party guy, and they got like a nerdy virgin choir boy. So it's really, I don't know what they're going to do now, because they've invested so much in this whole fraudulent sexual harassment thing. But I called my senator today to ask him when are they going to stop the lawlessness of these protesters. And my senators, Lamar Alexander and Bob Corker, and I also said, you know, to the lady we were talking about Kavanaugh, and I said, this is kind of like revenge for Roy Moore. You know, the Republicans never really stood up as a party to defend Roy Moore.
Yep.
And now that they got like a Bush-type insider with all the right credentials, it's kind of biting them in the you-know-what, and it's almost like a form of justice, although I hope Kavanaugh is approved. Just because he's seems to me like a constitutionalist and not a judicial activist. I do think that there is a bit of karma here to the Republicans. That why didn't they? I think Roy Moore was slandered. It's almost the same playbook here. And now that it's one of the establishment inside boys, they don't really like it that much, and at least they're trying to defend him. But hopefully this blows up and we don't have this anymore. One thing I wanted to say about Rosenstein, I think that what Trump is doing here is he's playing with the deep state. He puts out this rumor, and then he listens. He's probably got every one of their phones tapped now by national security and everything. And then he probably watches who's calling who. And I think he's just like a cat with a mouse right now, playing with them. Personally, people think he's in over his head. I look at it like this is just intelligence gathering and just torturing them, basically, because when he puts out a rumor like this and the press goes crazy, you can bet the phones are ringing between Loretta Lynch and Hillary Clinton, and they're probably all being monitored now. So I kind of wonder how much of this is just a game that Trump's playing for intelligence reasons.
I would like to think that Trump is, being proactive against the corruption. And I know there's a story floating around from Mike Adams that Trump is getting ready for mass arrests in military tribunals. But I have to put that one in the category of I'll believe it when I see it. I think Trump has just turned out to be an incredibly weak leader. He wanted to be president. He wanted to be able to say, I am or I was the president. But the fact that Rosenstein still has his job, to me, that's very telling. I mean, we have this reality TV star who became famous by saying, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, and yet he can't bring himself to do it after Rod Rosenstein is outed for overtly trying to bring down his administration. Now, maybe it's going to happen on Thursday, but if it doesn't, Trump at this point is a write-off, and we have to start thinking seriously about who else, what other Republican would make a good candidate for 2020.
Well, I would like watching his rallies, and I watched the one in Missouri, and I just found it kind of, two of the things that he said that kind of jumped out at me was, one, he started making fun of Antifa and saying, don't worry about Antifa. We'll handle them. We have bikers for Trump. And that struck me as odd because I watch his rallies. He never brought that up before, but I think there's almost like, there seems like both sides are really getting ready for a fight. I mean, the way the left radical are running crazy, sooner or later, I think Trump's sending that message out. Like, we're going to rein you in soon. That's
Sorry about that. We had a door slam and it kind of startled me. Anyway, listen, thank you for the phone call. We got to take a break for commercials and we'll be right back.
This is too good to be true, except this time it is real. 100%. No joke. How about a $25,000 membership to Front Sight Firearms Training Facility as a thank you bonus for a one-time donation to RBN of only $500? It is a Commander lifetime membership with no yearly fees or dues. The training is free for the rest of your life with over 50 different classes. Then leave it to your designated beneficiary. You provide the approved firearm, holster, ammo, eye, and ear protection. Many features and bonuses are included, more than you would ever expect or believe. This is the ultimate graduation present, wedding gift, etc., etc. See the details. Go to RBN's webpage and frontsight.com to make it happen. You will hear this offer only on this radio network. Help keep RBN alive. Tell 5.
Do you or a loved one suffer migraine headaches? Listen to what scientist Kurt Hendricks has to say.
35 million people in the United States suffer with debilitating migraines. If you or a loved one are one of them, you need to know about MigraLief. Hi, I'm Kurt Hendricks, the scientist that formulated and patented the MigraLief migraine formula. MigraLief is a non-prescription dietary supplement recommended by neurologists, pharmacists, and pediatricians to address nutritional deficiencies in both adults and children over 2 with migraines. Try MigraLief for 3 months and see the powerful difference it can make in your life, or get your money back, no questions asked. Go to MIG911.com or call 800-MIG-7354. You can change your life today.
So if you suffer from migraines, don't wait. Call 800-MIG-7354. That's 800-MIG-7354 or visit MIG911.com.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day.
heart attack, or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away. Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're going to go right back to the phones now. And Dustin in New Jersey has called in again. And Dustin, before I let you talk, I'm going to let you complete the call. We do have a rule on the show, 1 call per caller per day. So I understand you want to respond to one of our earlier callers. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike, we cannot blame the Indians or the Chinese because at the end of the day, our own government has outsourced our jobs.
Yes.
That's it. Our own government has sold you out. Our corporations have sold us out. Percentage of the American people have sold you out. Just ask Kavanaugh, all these women coming for. But, Mike, with Jim Rogers, you know Jim Rogers, the economist, he says in the U.S., when the people go asking for a job, they go, how many weeks vacation do we get? In China, they go, how many days a week can I come to work? It's different. You know, our schools are not teaching anything anymore. I mean, you go to college for, 8 years, you get out, and what do you got? A degree to nothing. That job's been outsourced.
Yes.
You know? I mean, it's a different
or
culture.
Even worse, it's liberal arts or something that really has not prepared you to enter a high technology marketplace. College has become another scam, like so much else in our society. And they're handing out degrees for things like women's studies and art history. And how do you get a job with that unless you become a college professor? And there are only so many of those positions available.
But he's right. Like the Indians, the other caller was right. The Indians, and you said the Vietnamese, they put their money together and they buy a gas station or something that work, constantly and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the Chinese, Mike, they come in, they're paying cash for these houses. They're not financing the houses.
Yep.
They got the cash. You know why? Because they got the cash. We don't.
That's right, because they make products for sale. And that's how you build a strong economy. Here in the United States of America, Wall Street's idea is if they take the money and they just shake it back and forth, it's going to grow, which somehow or other they're able to make it happen, but usually it's somebody else's expense. The United States used to be a manufacturing superpower. Now they want to be the banker to the world, and the rest of the world is turning away because of the manner in which the U.S. weaponizes the economy.
And Mike, real quick before I get off the phone, our great national security advisor says bringing the S-300s to Syria is a major escalation. And to the previous caller, Trump's playing tiddlywinks. He's over his head. See you, Mike.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. We're going to start with Peter in Los Angeles. But, Peter, I'm probably going to have to take you through the station identification. What's on your mind?
Mike, I wanted to chime in on two things. I first called in response to that, also the call to the Indian, about the Indian and the Chinese and all that. And you were remarking about the riots out in L.A. in 91?
Yes.
The Rodney King riots. And this is also on political correctness. When, you got the music coming?
Yeah, it just started here, so just stay on the line. I'll come right back to you after station identification.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, the history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here, hour number 3. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. We're talking with Peter in Los Angeles, and we're looking back on the Rodney King riots. Of course, I lived in Los Angeles long enough. I was there for the Rodney King riots. I was also there for the Watts riots. Again, a lot of the foreign-owned small businesses in South Central were intentionally targeted during those riots because it sort of undermined that victimhood of this is a poor area, nobody can make money here, because these convenience stores were making money. And they were making money because the people who owned them worked very hard and very long hours. So, Peter, you had something to add to that.
Yeah, I did. And what you say is absolutely true. And this also overlaps with political correctness. But during that riot, when these people, most of those businesses were Korean-owned, and the ones that weren't Korean, the remainder were mostly Indian-owned, but mostly Korean. And they worked really hard. They'd live like 5 people in one room or something, pool their money, and they'd buy these small businesses and made a go of it, even though they were robbed to death down there and all that. This is in South Central LA. But during the riot, the number was something like 2,500 Korean businesses were burned down. Yes. 2,500. They were targeted because they were Korean and they weren't black. And can any other group say that wouldn't be a hate crime? But they didn't qualify that as a hate crime.
No, they didn't. Wasn't even considered a hate crime when they're going out these gangs and riots and mobs seeking out Koreans, people of color, and burning them down because they weren't the color that they were. But at any rate, that's the point, one of the first points. The second was you had a lady called in who went to apply for an investment bank, an investment company. Yes.
Guess who owned that, I'm sure. But this smells to me like the Canary mission. The mission that Israel has, and I'm sure it would apply big time in the financial industry, where if you've contributed to BDS, if your political views would border on that, they actively identify you and try to keep you from getting a job. And that's a proven fact. As a matter of fact, that's part of the, they have a film on that in the, Israeli lobby thing that was banned, the second one banned in the United States, that was done by Al Jazeera.
Well, over the commercial break, I was doing a little research, and somebody actually sent me another job listing, this one for an IT internship that had exactly the same language. It's obviously boilerplate, and I was doing a little search, and apparently this is now becoming quite normal in job applications, and it is sadly not illegal. In fact, there was one article I read that said for certain government regulated industries, it's being mandated because the industries in question are forbidden from engaging in certain types of electioneering, and that includes their employees. But I think you're right. It's just another way of discriminating against conservatives and critics of Israel.
Yeah, and Mike, by the way, in my mind, this is a First Amendment right. That your right to make a living in the United States, as long as you're not, pulling a Colin Kaepernick thing and sloganeering and not standing in the workplace, which is what he was doing, you have every right. Colin Kaepernick has every right to go out and march on D.C. or go down into his congressman's office or something. But when the NFL would not have a right to take that away from him at all. But it certainly would if you're in the workplace. On the other hand, think about this, Mike. Citizens United gave freedom of speech to corporations.
Yes.
Unlimited, They have freedom of speech, but now the four corporations are denying us freedom of speech.
Yeah, it's exactly what's going on. We're heading into the corporatocracy. I mean, I remember a simpler time where what you did at work and what you did in your private life off hours were completely separate things, and businesses did not have a right to intrude into your private life. Now, when I was working, I didn't bring my politics to the office. When I was teaching out at UH-Manoa, all we talked about in that classroom was 3D computer animation, because that's just the way it's supposed to be. And UH-Manoa, at least back then, did not intrude into my private life and say, what are your political views? They probably would have been very surprised to find out, but that's the way it's supposed to be. That's what's protected by the First Amendment. But to all of a sudden see corporations making employment decisions not on merit and training, but on your political affiliation, that's right out of the former Soviet Union.
That's right. And Mike, I've been in HR, the head of HR for 3 Fortune 500 companies. And I would tell you that we would never allow Colin Kaepernick to come into our workplace and demonstrate, but he had every right to do so otherwise, right? Yes. Every right. The other thing is corporations are now doing, and this is happening when HR departments are outsourcing background checks, and they're outsourcing it on purpose so they can't be sued. But part of the background checks are they're going to go through your LinkedIn, your tweets and your texts, and they'll search all that stuff. All that stuff is public record. If you've commented on articles on the web, that comes out as well. And so this is a growth industry is taking away our freedom of speech and political expression. And it's coming from Israel and it's coming from the corporations and both. So
how 1984 can you get?
People. Yeah, it's really bad, but that's what's happening.
Well, yeah, that's really it's upsetting. Is really what it is, that corporations are just invading our privacy, and at this point we have no more privacy. Even Kavanaugh is out there saying that he thinks this mass surveillance of Americans is consistent with the Fourth Amendment. It's one of the reasons why I don't like him. I still hope he gets confirmed, and quickly, because I'm sick and tired of hearing the Democrats whine about it. But if you have Kavanaugh who says mass surveillance on Americans is okay, it tells you how far we've gone. Anyway, Peter, we're going to let you go. Thank you very much for the phone call. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And getting on back to the news, Russia is now coming out with a new submarine, the Boreas 2, also known as the Boreas A. It's a fourth-generation nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine that is expected to join Russia's Northern and Pacific fleets starting in 2024. Now, each of these submarines can carry 20 Bulava intercontinental ballistic missiles, which can deliver a nuclear payload of 100 to 150 kilotons. And this is the first new Russian sub developed since the collapse of the Soviet Union. The bad news is, as of now, the U.S. doesn't possess any defenses to protect against Bulava missiles. And the reason for that is very simple. The re-entry devices, the MIRVs, the warheads, are maneuverable. We've been talking about this for years. America's entire ballistic missile defense strategy is based on a doctrine of a ballistic inbound threat whose path can be predicted into the future. Not so with the latest generation of these maneuverable MIRV warheads. They bop up and down, they corkscrew, they dipsy-doodle, they weave back and forth, and that makes interception virtually impossible. Good reason to not actually have a nuclear war, I might point out here. And I'm sure the Pentagon is going to be coming on out and screaming they need new money for a zero time of flight weapon system where they can hit what they see and not worry about transit time, which sounds really good. And there was a lot of that work done back during the Strategic Defense Initiative. But it's not as easy to get it to work over long distances as you might think, because of the way the atmosphere behaves when anything energetic hits it. The U.S. may be looking at some kind of a physical interceptor that gets within a mile of the inbound ballistic object and then shoots it down from there. But absent development of that kind of technology, I don't think they're going to be able to make it work. There are laser weapons that are being deployed to the U.S. Navy, but they're short range only because of the problems with thermal blooming. Okay, over in the House of Representatives, Republican Representative John Katko of New York and Democratic Representative Mike Quigley of Illinois are leading an event, a demonstration of how voting systems can be hacked. That would actually be a good thing, except that this exercise is all about bashing Russia and saying Russia hacked the 2016 elections. And I think the hacking of the 2016 election came from a lot closer than Russia. We know the DNC rigged the primaries to benefit Hillary Clinton. There is still that DNC fraud lawsuit underway. We know that a great number of illegal immigrants voted in that election. So this is, it's nice that they're looking at the issue of how easy it is to hack the American elections, but they've turned it once again into another propaganda platform. Russia bad, Russia bad, Russia bad, Russia bad. Ooh, Russia's really evil. We're going to have to do something about them. I want you young people to go over to Russia and kill Putin for me. Over at Goldman Sachs, they're saying that all U.S. imports from China could be hit with tariffs. And basically, they're saying that the probability that all imports from China will be subject to tariffs has risen to 60%. And of course, this was all over the media. And again, we need to look at the ancillary damage. First of all, we know that for those Chinese products for which there is no domestic replacement, we're all paying a higher price, which the government collects as kind of another hidden tax. I mean, the smart thing to do would be to put tariffs on Chinese products for which there is a domestic replacement. But if you're tariffing everything, like iPhones, there's nobody in the United States who can manufacture an iPhone. It would take them years to set up a factory to do that. One of the areas where the tariffs are really having an impact is in the U.S. ports, where these cargo ships come on in and they offload and put the stuff on trucks that heads to the stores. They make their money from these port fees, and they're losing a lot of money. They're estimating that because of all the tariffs and everything and the retaliation, that the U.S. ports collectively are going to lose about $160 billion in revenue. Over in Russia, they are moving closer to a plan to ditch the U.S. dollar with reports that its major oil companies are preparing to settle payments in other currencies in transactions with clients. They're going to start accepting other currencies for their oil. Then they'll take those other currencies, they'll go back to the country and buy imports from them. Going to be good for them. The United States, basically, the U.S. government and Wall Street and the Federal Reserve abused their position as holders of the global currency. And now the world is turning against it. And by the way, there have been a lot of global currencies throughout history. None have ever lasted very long because inevitably the sponsoring government sees that as an instrument of power. Okay. Talking about immigration and the refugee situation, I like this idea. The Trump administration is getting ready to impose a program that would deny green cards to immigrants who are on welfare. So you cross the border, you get on welfare, no, you will not get a green card. I think that's a really good idea because too many of these immigrants and refugees are coming to the United States, and for that matter to Europe, in the expectation they're going to get free stuff. They're not going to have to work any longer. They're just going to kick on back and have a good old time, and they'll be housed and fed and clothed, and they won't have anything to do except sharpen their knives. Up in Sweden, Sweden seems to be getting schizophrenic. On one day, it'll look like they're finally dealing with the refugee crisis at face value, and then on the other day, you wonder what they're thinking. Apparently, Sweden has now given permanent residency to an Afghan murderer for so-called humanitarian reasons. Now, apparently, this man back in Afghanistan had a dispute over land in money with his cousin and killed him with a rock. He then fled to Iran where he lived with his family, but out of fear that his other relatives would take revenge, he basically went up to Sweden. And Sweden is now saying, yes, because of the threat to your life, you may stay here. All right, let's take a phone call from Charlie in Los Angeles. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Tariffs are on my mind, Mike. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay. This Trump's tariffs is just a sneaky tax because the tariffs are paid by somebody on one side of the border, or the other.
Yes.
The money goes into the United States Treasury.
Yes.
And depending upon what the sitch is, let's say aluminum, now Coke and all the aluminum people, they raise their prices on the American people, and that is a tax.
Yes.
Okay. This is just a bunch of sneaky crap going on, but Americans are unaware of it because they don't learn anything in school about it. So I don't know. I mean, let's say he puts a tax on German-made cars, and now that tax has to be paid, $7,000 per car. That is just, people are just too ignorant and unaware, and we keep getting robbed, constantly
Yes.
getting robbed. I just don't see how any of this makes any sense, but it's a tax increase. And as far as Trump goes, in his pick, Gorsuch was the guy that was the deciding factor on the largest increase in taxes in years when they decided to do the internet sales tax. When that starts to get implemented, that's another windfall for all the states. So people wake up. Trump is not on our side. He is a very sneaky operation, but he's a good promoter and he makes people feel good. So I guess, what can you do about that?
Yep. You're absolutely right. He's a good presenter. That's why he got his reality TV show. But for the most part, he is clearly pandering to corporate interests. He's pandering to the war industry, if you will, the military-industrial complex. And he did inherit this huge economic problem. And his only real solution, like every other politician, is to raise taxes. And he increased spending, especially for the military, and he's just going to go on collecting more taxes to try and at least slow the United States' descent into the abyss.
I think the unemployment really isn't going down. The wage slavery is going up. Now, you see all these construction projects that Trump bragged about? These things were on the books when Obama was president. They just didn't come up with, oh, Trump's president, let's build all this. This crap has been on the books, and it has to be engineered and architectured.
Yes.
And so this has all been waiting. This is very insidious. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, you got it. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go here. And let's do... Okay, getting on back here. We've had a lot of storms this year. Actually, we've got to take a break for commercials. We will be right back.
Extendivite, a 7-herb combination of garlic, cayenne, hawthorn, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Extendivite is designed to strengthen the heart and arteries and help the body heal itself. Doctors are not able to explain the improvements they are seeing in their patients' health who are taking Extendivite. People who once needed more pills are now taking less and getting better. Due to the unexplainable improvements in their patients' health, more doctors are calling to order Extendivite for themselves. Help Extendivite make your doctor a believer. Extendivite is available in capsule or liquid form for just $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To get started, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Attention RBN listeners. Dr. Ignatius Piazza, founder of Front Sight Firearms Training, and Fate have come together to allow RBN to run another fundraiser till the end of the year. We didn't really expect this opportunity, but thankfully it's here and running as you hear this. We've set a goal of 500 donations by the end of the year, which averages around 6 per day, 7 days a week. When you realize all the folks listening to RBN all hours of the day and night, we think our goal is realistic and extremely critical to keep RBN on the air. If everybody listening will seriously assess their ability with firearms and then take advantage of this opportunity, we feel our goal is very conservative. Please take the time to look over Front Sight's website to get an idea of an amazing facility and the world-class training that's going on there. If this interests you, you likely will have like-minded friends that would like to know. Tell them. If for some reason some listeners are not personally interested, consider sons and daughters, close friends, nieces or nephews, top valued employees, inform club members, share the opportunity with police and fire departments. It's not too early to plan Christmas presents for special people. This fundraiser has come at an extremely critical time for RBN because the dire need for equipment upgrades. We're running on the spare tire currently with no money to fix a flat, and the fuel gauge is bouncing on E. This is one of the most valuable ways you can help RBN financially because you get Commander lifetime membership value that is 50 times your donation and can be passed on forever. How many times during life do you get to leave a legacy? See more details and contact info on our webpage, republicbroadcasting.org. And thank you.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And getting on back to immigration and globalism. As I said just before we went to the commercial break, we've had a lot of storms this year. We've had them out here in Hawaii. We had 2 near misses. We just had Hurricane Florence. And now over in England, where they've just had a major storm as well, they're going to start using Muslim names because apparently their refugees were feeling left out, that they weren't being recognized. So now they're going to have storms with Islamic names on them. You know, Tropical Storm Ahmed. Apparently, the Chequers plan has hit a checkmate, and Theresa May is in, she's in serious trouble. The European Union leaders basically tore up her Chequers plan. And so it's another Brexit crisis, and next year early is the deadline where Great Britain will no longer be part of the European Union. Except, of course, we have all of these Remainers who are out there saying, we need a new referendum. You know, we're sure the British people by now, they have changed their minds, or if not, we're going to change them for them, or at least change their votes. And it is amazing to see how hard the British government is working to thwart and ignore the will of the British subjects. Of course, we see that a lot here in the United States as well. It's getting actually rather difficult to find a real republic with an honestly elected democratic leadership anywhere on the planet. We're seeing the rise of global fascism. Over in Hungary, they have passed new legislation that criminalizes lawyers and activists who help asylum seekers. Anyone facilitating illegal immigration will face a year in jail. We actually have a law like that here in the United States underneath Title VIII. Nobody enforces it, which is a big part of the problem here. But Viktor Orban's government has dubbed the legislation the Stop Soros Law after, obviously, his involvement in, pushing all this immigration all across Europe and here in the United States. And Orban is out there saying that this uncontrolled open borders immigration threatens its national security. And he's absolutely right about that. It's brought a lot of crime and social upheaval. And around the world, the globalists are saying, ooh, bad Orban, no cookie. You have to love globalism and love open borders. And yeah, there's some problems with mass rapes and contagious diseases and skyrocketing crime. But really, you're just being petty here. The small price to pay for the dream of a single global government permanently enslaved to a single global bank. And everybody's just going to stand around and sing Kumbaya and hug each other. David Davis is accusing Theresa May of being a bigger menace to British voters than the European Union, and came on out saying the Chequers plan was devoid of democracy. And he was absolutely right, because a lot of people criticize the Chequers plan, which now apparently is dead on arrival, as being Brexit in name only. That Theresa May was basically just giving almost everything the EU wanted in terms of remaining in the common economy, the open borders, allowing the EU to continue to legislate on British soil. And a lot of people said it was a no Brexit here. So a lot of people are starting to deal with the fact that there may be a hard Brexit now, where all of a sudden Great Britain says we're not part of the EU anymore. And European airports are saying that there has to be some kind of a deal reached, or there's going to be a major disruption to air travel to and from Great Britain from Europe. Now, I think they're kind of grandstanding here in order to push forward for some kind of a deal. But I can't imagine that Great Britain is going to shut down the computers that link their air traffic control system with Europe. The issue being raised in this article, though, is whether or not people coming from Europe will have to be re-security screened at Britain. And that's where they're trying to make the issue, that if you fly from Britain into France, and you're flying from France someplace else, that you will have to go through another security screening. And I can understand for travelers why that might be very, very upsetting. The Israel lobby is continuing its attacks on Corbyn, trying to scream that he's anti-Semitic, that he's got to go, that we don't like him. It's been a pretty bad mauling. We got to take another break for commercials. We got a caller waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Do you worry a lot? If you're forgetful, nervous, moody, or overwhelmed, chances are you're not protecting yourself from the ravaging effects of stress and anxiety. No matter the cause, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, your quality of life, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in as little as 1 to 2 weeks and increase your ability to recall facts, names, and numbers in 4 to 12 weeks. Calm and Clever was created by scientist Kurt Hendricks, a principal investigator in 2 NIH-funded studies on Alzheimer's disease. Try Calm and Clever for 2 months. You'll feel the difference. Call 1-800-758-8746 or go to calmandclever.com.
Did you know that neither the American Medical Association nor the American Bar Association were established to benefit the American people? Have you recognized that in our country, healthcare has little to do with health, and that our court system has nothing to do with justice? The priests of both medicine and law have been incentivized to implement a dark agenda on behalf of the Bilderbergers and their ilk. To protect ourselves and our progeny, we need to take a much closer look at how these two giant industries really work. Join me, Al Whitney, on In Defense of Humanity, Saturdays at 7 p.m. Central, as we expose the matrix and learn how not to consent to our own destruction. Do you know there is an ongoing war right here in America? Are you aware that U.S. citizens have been classified as enemies of the state since 1933? Have you recognized that our entire government is really a vast network of interlocking corporations engaged in commerce? Look up Title 28, Section 3002. Tune in to In Defense of Humanity on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. Find out what's really going on and learn how to protect yourself and your family as flesh and blood men and women living in a corporate reality.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go back to the phones here to Jim in New York. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, hi, Mike. I was thinking of this Kavanaugh thing. Remember a couple weeks ago when we had the hurricane and we thought they'd wait for the news cycle to end with the hurricane to attack Syria?
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps it's just a thought. Maybe this whole Kavanaugh circus is a diversion. It's just a thought. You know, that the news, the TV is 24/7 Kavanaugh. And meanwhile, Syria, which I've been worried about for years, is no one's talking about that. What do you think?
We're being
And here's
contactized.
Yes. So, you know, the Shakespeare quote, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players.
Yes.
So I just get the sense this is a show. I mean, he's an insider Republican. He's an establishment type. He'll probably pass.
Well,
like him,
I
but-
think he's probably going to pass here. Mitch McConnell's already said, the vote's going to be happening in the very near future. But I'm very concerned about the fact that the corporate media has not been reporting on any of the activities in any of the war zones. And it does feel an awful lot like the weeks leading up to 9/11, where, media in other countries were saying the U.S. is going to invade Afghanistan in October of 2001. We weren't hearing that. We were getting all Gary Condit and Chandra Levy all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that when 9/11 happened, it hit with the maximum emotional shock. And I'm concerned that we're being set up for the same thing here, where everybody's going to be they're going to emotionally disconnect from the war zones. They're going to be totally looking at Brett Kavanaugh and these salacious allegations against him, so that if there is a false flag, the shock value will override our natural tendency to be skeptical.
And I read on some site that this woman, Ford, her father somehow has CIA connections, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting. Maybe this is all just a show. But, Syria is still... Oh, you ever hear... I know you're an agnostic, but did you ever hear of the Bayside prophecies?
No, I can't say that I have.
Well, this nun, Sister Veronica Lucan, in the 70s, she made all these prophecies. And it's just one sentence. This is what she said in 1981. Syria has the key to the solution of world peace or the Third World War. It will be the destruction of 3/4 of the world, a world aflame with also the ball of redemption. So it's interesting. I mean, I know you don't buy into that stuff, but
no.
Syria is the key to world peace or the Third World War. She said that in 1981. But I thought that was interesting. But, I think this Kavanaugh thing, I think it's just a show. He's going to pass.
Yeah, I think he's going to pass as well. I think at this point, the Democrats have pretty much shot their bolt on these allegations. This last one, where they came on out with this woman who said that some guy waved his private parts in her face at a drunken party, at Yale. And she thinks it may have been Kavanaugh, but she's not really sure. I mean, how can you even go to press with something like that? And yet the New Yorker did. Anyway, Jim, thanks a lot for the phone call. And we're going to switch back over to Rhonda in Missouri. Aloha, Rhonda. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike, I was thinking about that last phone call I had with you. And what implications do you think that would have for the baker? I mean, he was a company, too.
Yes.
So you can't have it both ways. Am I wrong?
No, well, unfortunately, liberals believe you can have it both ways. It depends on what they want at the moment. And like I said, this nonsense about suing bakers who don't want to make cakes for gay couples or transgender, It's ridiculous. Businesses used to have the right to refuse service to anybody, and the civilized thing to do is just go find a baker who will make the cake that you want to have. Don't go on into bakers that you know are going to turn you down just to create a situation where you can be outraged and offended and we can get a lawyer and we can sue. That's part of what's tearing the fabric of our society apart.
Mm-hmm. But my point is that can a baker put on his door that he has the right to refuse service to anybody, just like they did? They have the right to discriminate against you for your political beliefs. Why can't the baker say something like, I have the right to refuse transgenders? You can't have it both ways. So,
well, to liberals, yes, you can, unfortunately. And I don't know that the job application was put up by a liberal company. I've found that same piece of boilerplate language in a lot of other job ads for things like IT internships. I would never even bother submitting a resume to a company that had that in the employment ad. And
I think that baker should get his money back. He should get all that money back that he spent on his legal defense.
I agree.
Because if this is the way it's going to go, and employees are going to discriminate against you for that, then this guy, mind you, he was against his political beliefs, but it's a belief. It's not a tangible product. It's not a tangible thing. So it's again, similar in that political beliefs, not wanting to service somebody because of, they're obviously transgender or whatever. That's his belief, and he thinks, So I just want to say that I think what they did by doing this is they just kind of shut themselves down, because anybody now that says, I don't want to service a transgender, for example, with the baked goods or whatever, they could say, look, they're not doing. Look at that company. They're hiring people because they don't want anybody that's not politically on their side.
Yeah, these job ads are openly they're openly discriminatory. When you get into this issue with the baker and the gay couples, he's sued because he's discriminating against the gays. And you're right, these job applications are clearly discriminating on the basis of political belief. And I would like to see somebody maybe think of, I think I'm going to send this on down to Larry Klayman and raise a stink about it.
Yeah, because I can't even believe that. I was like, what? And I didn't think, first thing I thought when I read it wasn't, is that illegal? It was definitely not, I do recruiting, so it's going to make my job harder. Because if I have to, I was going to ask you this question, Mike. So if I'm a recruiter and I'm working for this firm, then I have to say, what are your political beliefs? Is it okay for me to ask them if they're transgender too, or if they smoke, or whatever, fill in the blank? Isn't that illegal? I can't ask them that question. Right?
Well, I think you can probably ask them about the issue of smoking. But as far as asking if they're transgender, again, it's really murky, and it's hard to find out what is the actual legal guideline for any of this stuff, because so much of it is treated on an ad hoc basis. Sometimes it feels like they're just making this stuff up as they go along.
But in the recruiting industry, it's going to make it difficult because it puts you, doesn't it put you at risk for being sued for asking that question? I mean, I don't even know what the rules are anymore, because I can't ask just like for a Christian company, I would say I can't ask them, are you gay, right? For a Christian company, I can't ask them what their sexual behaviors are, just like I shouldn't be able to ask them what their political beliefs are, but they're making that necessary. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. It's discrimination. It's discrimination on the basis of your political beliefs. And I think a case could be made there to, basically sue these companies and force the creation of a law saying, no, this is what a company can access in terms of evaluating a potential employee, job history, qualifications, training, education, and beyond that, no. What they're doing in their private life is off limits.
Right. Okay, well, I just wanted your opinion on that because it didn't, as a recruiter, it's going to be very difficult to recruit for these jobs, wondering if I'm going to get sued for asking these questions. I mean, it's really a weird question. What are your political beliefs? Are you Democrat? What campaigns did you donate to? That's awkward. I'm just saying. All right, well, thank you for taking my call again. I appreciate
if I were you, and I know it's going to cost you a little bit of money, I would actually consult with a lawyer in your state and just say, what are the rules here? Is this legal? Is it not discrimination? That way, if you get the lawyer's advice, then, if you are sued, you can say, well, this is what the lawyer told me.
Right. Excellent. All right. Thank you, Mike.
All right. Well, thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go and get on back here to the news here. Over in Germany, the Alternative for Germany party right now is becoming more popular, and they're second only to Angela Merkel's weakening conservatives. Excuse me for that one here. And the latest poll is showing that Germany's ruling coalition is losing voter support, and AfD is the main beneficiary. And of course, the issue is Angela Merkel's open borders policy. Down in France, Emmanuel Macron's popularity has plunged to just 29% as the migrant crisis worsens. The pushback against the open borders is starting to happen. And it's certainly going to derail the move toward a one-world government. It's certainly threatening the stability of the European Union. Now, speaking of political correctness, and this is where it gets really kind of weird. A university professor in Sweden is under investigation for anti-feminism and transphobia after he said that there were fundamental differences between men and women which are biologically founded. In other words, underneath their clothes, men and women have differences. And he got into trouble for saying this. He's out there saying genders are not social constructs. Gender is inherent in your biology. It's in your DNA. And I'm sorry, Caitlin, but underneath all that makeup and surgery and hormonal treatments, your DNA is that of a man. By the way, late-breaking story relative to the Kavanaugh investigation. Caitlyn Jenner is now accusing Bruce Jenner of having fondled her crotch for years. Apparently, a student editor, assistant editor at Durham University's philosophy journal Critique, was fired from his job by pointing out women don't have the male private parts. I mean, that's how silly that this is just getting out there. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. There are differences between men and women, and they're not going to disappear just because somebody says, I imagine that I'm a woman. I imagine that I'm rich. Hasn't happened yet, folks. Now, you're really going to love this one. Britain's largest all-girl youth organization, the Girl Guides, has just changed its policies to allow biological boys to shower with girls in an effort to be more inclusive of transgender individuals. So, if you're a guy, you can go to the Girl Guides and say, I'm a woman inside. They'll accept you in. And you get to shower with the other girls. What could possibly go wrong with that? I mean, that's absurd here. One of the, or actually two of the leaders of Girl Guides have been thrown out of the organization after questioning a policy that does not allow leaders to share if members of the Girl Guides were formerly male. I have a feeling that Girl Guides is going to see a major decline in membership. I can't imagine being a parent and being comfortable with any of this. And by the way, have you noticed that ever since the Boy Scouts announced that they were going to allow girls, we haven't heard a thing from them. Now, as you know, next month will be Halloween, where we all get to dress up. And the feminists are already out there screaming about sexy Halloween costumes for women. How it's demeaning and it's oppressive and it's the patriarch. And no, it isn't. These women are buying these sexy costumes. And some of them are a little revealing and they're very hot, but that's what they want to wear for Halloween. And you have all these feminists who, by the way, wouldn't look all that good in these same costumes, and they're out there screaming, "You can't do that! I'm oppressed, I'm offended." And again, that's another reality. Some people do look better than other people. And it's not a social construct, it is just your DNA. Now, as you know, last week we had this mass shooting in Baltimore. And apparently the shooter in this situation was a transgender who complained of feeling alienated and wanting to pick a fight before opening fire on the Rite Aid distribution center, killing 3 co-workers and then committing suicide. I wonder if this person was on prescription antidepressants here. So this story basically disappeared from the media because it doesn't fit the template for the gun grabber stories. By the way, if you watched the Emmys, you were probably one of very few. The ratings for the 2018 Emmy Awards hit an all-time low. Americans are no longer caught up in the adoration of our TV stars. About time, too. We'll be right back with the last segment of our program after these few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. As most of you know, my regular listeners, I offer energy cleaners for sale at my website. If you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, go to my website, thelibertyman.com, educate yourself about these marvelous healing devices. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, doesn't matter. Keep in mind, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. Energy cleaners, $285, shipping included to American zip codes. You can educate yourself all about the energy cleaner right there at my website, the patent application, the wonderful testimonials. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the energy cleaner. Now, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. I have a toll-free order line, or you can order it right at my website at thelibertyman.com. The toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Thank you.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AROutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AROutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay, unemployment getting worse.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here, last segment of our program on this Monday. And I want you to grab a paper and pencil, and I want you to write down this phone number. Pencils up. Area code 202-224-3121. That's 202-224-3121. That is the switchboard for the United States Senate. And you call that number and you tell them what state you live in. They will connect you with the office of your senator, at which point you can put in a word saying it is time to end this witch hunt and smear job against Kavanaugh, that it's insulting to the American people to see our politicians behaving this childishly. So once again, that number is 202-224-3121. Down in Louisiana, their Attorney General is now openly calling for Google and Facebook to be broken up, to get rid of the monopoly, to get back to a system of diversity of opinion, something that protects a diversity of opinion. And Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry is going to call on Attorney General Jeff Sessions to do this, which means probably nothing is going to happen. But Landry is saying this is an antitrust issue, and it's going to take an antitrust lawsuit. And I'm fully in agreement there. Now, Google, trying to salvage its reputation, has now actually issued a new policy position that employees have to keep politics out of their work. Little bit too late. And it's there. I mean, there was a culture at Google that said this was all acceptable behavior. So it's going to be a little hard to shut this all down. Okay. I think we already talked about that one. Apparently, just days after the Trump administration instituted a controversial travel ban, Google employees discussed ways that they could tweak the search function to show users how to contribute to pro-immigration organizations and contact lawmakers and government agencies. This is from leaked internal company emails. So yeah, Google is out there taking it upon themselves to shape the minds of America on these issues. And that's not what they're supposed to do. Of course, it's not what the corporate media is supposed to do, but they do it all the time anyway. The good news is now we know what they're up to. Apparently, experts are predicting that Google, if it is not stopped, can shift up to 12 million votes in the 2018 midterm elections, and that is more than enough than is needed for the Democrats to take both houses of Congress. And why Donald Trump is not addressing this issue is a complete mystery to me. Okay, there's the music. Time for me to get on out of here and get something useful done with the rest of the day. I got to do Jim Goddard's show up in Vancouver. Please stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Take what you learn here, share it with other people. Tell everybody about what's going on with Google and Twitter and YouTube and FaceTime, literally filtering conservatives. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.